working dogs and their handlers.
From Vietnam to the present.
Tucker will shoot.
Jacob Reed.
Hey, John Burnham.
Hey, Mike. It's awesome to finally meet you. You and I have so much in common as dog handlers. Although very little has changed since the time I served in Vietnam and the time you served in Iraq.
I'm honored to be here for this dedication of a national monument to military working dog teams.
We agree that military working dogs have the right to be honored as more than equipment by the Department of Defense. Part of America's freedom and security belongs to the dogs who served on the battlefield alongside their faithful masters.
It is our responsibility as a nation to fulfill the tremendous debt of gratitude we owe our nation's war dogs. Their service, loyalty, and sacrifices to our country must never be forgotten.
Nearly 4,000 dogs served in Vietnam and saved 10,000 plus American servicemen. When we withdrew from Vietnam in 1973, the military classified the dogs as surplus equipment, only to be left behind during evacuation.
Military working dogs are always in front. No one is closer to the enemy than the handler and his dog. K-9 teams always walk in harm's way.
You got that right. Clipper and I were a scout dog team. We used his natural instincts and training to alert to smell, sight, and sound.
My dog Rex was a patrol and explosive detection dog. We were truly the only weapon system the military has ever devised to save lives.
Prime example. Clipper saved my life and the soldiers walking behind me many times. Once, we were on point, leading soldiers through heavily booby-trapped jungle. I kept my attention glued to Clipper's ears as he guided me forward. He gave a faint alert left, hesitating briefly, then moved right. Seeing nothing in that direction, I just decided to trust Clipper's movements. I saw nothing out of the ordinary. When we reached camp, I took a knee and waited for the rest of the platoon to catch up with us. When the lieutenant caught up with us, he said,
"Thanks for getting my men through those booby traps. What a great dog you have there."
What booby traps, sir?"
When your dog changed directions for the first time, one of my men spotted a grenade and tripwire. When your dog kept changing directions, my men got wise and found more booby traps.
Finally, I realized that Clipper's deliberate changes in direction were to avoid the booby traps and tripwires. The lieutenant said if it hadn't been for Clipper, his men would have been killed.
I'm recommending you for the Bronze Star.
I looked into Clipper's big brown eyes, gave him a bear hug, told him what a great warrior he was. I felt honored, but I knew the credit really belonged to Clipper. He was the hero. I was just the lucky guy behind the leash.
Your story reminds me of a time when Rex and I were sent on a mission to track down explosives on the outskirts of Fallujah. I showed Rex the comm, and I gave him the C command. Rex lowered his head and started to breathe in the scents all around us. Then, he showed a big change in behavior, and we dig beneath where he sat his butt, and presto, the Marines pull out a sack stuffed full of RPGs. "Nice one, Rex. It's real haul." Rex sat at my left side, his eyes glued to the warhead. It's like he owns them. By midday, we discovered a ton of IED-making materials. Thanks to Rex, countless soldiers and civilians were saved.
Military working dogs are teamed up with American soldiers who trust their lives and the lives of fellow servicemen to their dog's ability to detect the presence of the enemy.
A dog's senses, sight, hearing, and smell are far greater than any human's. Estimates say using a dog's natural instincts at night is the same as 7 armed men.
You know, the bond between handler and dog is so strong. We treated them like our human companion, sometimes better. One night, our K-9 compound was attacked by the Viet Cong. Mortar rounds hit the roof over the kennel and exploded.
They hit the kennel! They hit the kennel!
We knew that one or more of our dogs had either been wounded or killed. When the shelling stopped, the only noises we could hear were sounds of dogs crying out in the kennels. We darted from the bunkers. The closer we got to the kennels, the louder the dogs
My
howled.
dog's hit! Get help!
I stopped in my tracks, worried about what I might see. Several sobbed as they held their wounded and bleeding companions. Clipper was pawing at the door to get out. I opened the door, and he jumped all over me with his bloody paws. I examined every inch of his body. His paws were bloody from clawing at the door. Thankfully, he had no wounds at all. I just sat there, hugging him tightly, and cried like a baby. I told him how sorry I was that I hadn't been able to protect him.
I know you were so relieved that Clipper was okay. I remember one time, Rex and I were sent on a mission to clear route into the heart of Fallujah and to secure Main Bridge. When we got introduced to the NCO, he said, "That's what I'm talking about, boys! We got the dogs of war with us today!" We loaded up into the Humvees, and we reached the bridge without a sniff of resistance. But as Rex and I dismounted, I felt the air crackling with danger. I tried to concentrate totally on my dog, but I've never felt so horribly exposed. We're 30 minutes into the search when my concentration is torn away by a howl of an incoming round. Mortar plows into the roof below, throwing up a massive geyser. Then a rocket slams into the metal superstructure of the bridge over our heads. I crouched down and put Rex's flak jacket on him. We sprint to the nearest Humvee and we jump into the back of it. I felt the rounds tearing into the far side of the vehicle, and the noise was incredibly loud. It must be unbearable for Rex. I placed my body between him and the bullets and I covered his ears. Rex stared at me with wide eyes. Good boy, Rex. Good boy. I kept thinking I can't do this anymore. But here's the thing. Having Rex beside me gave me the strength to face it all. If I asked him to, Rex would clear a cave full of suicide bombers without hesitation. I knew I had to step up to my dog and be the warrior he needed me to be.
This is why I have dedicated my life to honoring military working dogs. We owe them the right to be considered as something more than equipment. Clipper was a soldier! How many lives did he need to save to have the right to be recognized as something more than equipment?
The dogs are not pets, and the handlers are not Boy Scouts, but they are a team trained for war. The bond between handler and dog surpasses that of a friend or partner.
I remember walking to the rubber trees to find Clipper. He licked all over my face, and in his excitement, he piddled on my boots. That dog was my best friend, and I knew this was the last time we'd be together. I just sat with him, stroking his head, calling all the combat missions we had teamed up on. He was a real American hero, but he'd never get to go home. I tried to hold back the tears. I didn't know how to say goodbye to my best friend. So I looked into his big brown eyes, gave him one last loving bear hug. Then, I just walked away, knowing that Vietnam would be my dog's final resting place. Clipper stood erect, ears pointed high like the champion he was. I felt him watching me until, never looking back, I vanished down a dirt road, leading away from the 44th Scout Dog Platoon. I knew then that I truly had no more reason left to stay in Vietnam, but every reason in the world to keep Clipper alive in my heart for the rest of my life.
Thankfully, even though dogs are still considered equipment, at least mine had the right to come home. Together we slain our demons and survived. Our bond is unbreakable because we trust each other with our lives. Our time together has taught me a different warrior creed. It's to walk into the fire day after day, knowing the enemy's hell-bent on killing us, but never feeling alone. I had my dog at my side, and I knew Rex would be there for me whatever I asked of him, always.
Mike, we've come a long way in securing the rights of our military working dogs. Thankfully, they are no longer left behind. However, we still have work to do in securing the rights of military working dogs as canine members of the armed forces.
Yes, finally someone is stepping up to do the right thing. Representative Jones and Senator Blumenthal are trying to pass laws which will make military working dogs canine members of the armed forces instead of equipment.
Over 30,000 dogs have served in the U.S. military, thrust into harm's way, and are responsible for saving countless American lives. It's very ironic, but canine teams met and defeated every obstacle they ever faced, except the one we never expected, our own country. Because of a dog's love and devotion, they willingly follow men into battle. These dogs are not only our best friends, they embody what's best about us: the courage, loyalty, and heart of true warriors. Look, Mike, the crowd is starting to gather for the unveiling of the National Monument. There's no doubt that we have a responsibility to protect the rights of our military working dogs. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been said that the greatness of a nation can be judged by the way in which its animals are treated. We must never forget our canine soldiers' sacrifice and loyalty to our country.